Last Night in Soho, more like...
Welcome back to Full-Time Movie Fans. It is that time again. I need another haircut. We always seem to record these things when I'm like, my hair's all kind of crazy and whatever.
I do like your little...
Yeah, the little
fluff
tuft
on the side.
Yeah, I know. I need to get that cut. Every single time we record, it's just like, it's like I know when we're going to do it, but I don't ever get a haircut first. So, but it's also not just time for me to get a haircut. It's just time for us to talk about a movie. I'm your host,
Jarvis. Call him Jarvis.
Yeah, call me whatever you like.
Call him by your name.
Just don't call me late for dinner or whatever. And then this is Michael. He's also host.
Call me by your name.
Yeah. You can also call him Jarvis sometimes.
Sometimes. Depends on how spicy you're feeling.
Yeah. So this is Full-Time Movie Fans. Welcome back for those of you who are revisiting our channel to see what the next movie review is. You're about to find out in T-minus some seconds, I think.
5, 4, 3.
Last Night in Soho.
2. Oh.
Okay, so this is a movie that you had not seen, that I had seen, that I recommended.
Yeah. Yes.
And the reason I recommended it is because if you're coming here from one of our previous uploads, which would have been Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit. The reason I recommended Last Night in Soho is because the Jewish girl in the cupboard
Elsa
is also the main character in this movie.
Yeah. Her real
Last Night in
name's
Soho.
Thomasin McKenzie.
Yeah. That's her. That's the one.
Our chemistry's off the charts today.
Yeah, dude. We're so in sync.
We did just shoot the last episode 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, we just changed clothes.
Yep. It hasn't been a month.
No. Yeah. So sometimes we're back to back. Sometimes we have a little break and we're coming back from it. But this is a movie that was directed by Edgar Wright. Correct. Is that correct?
Yeah,
correct.
good.
So my memory serves me well today. Along with that little tuft of hair that looks kind of weird.
Also written by
of my head.
Edgar Wright.
Written and directed by Edgar
And
Wright.
Christy Wilson Carnes.
Edgar Wright. Studio Ghibli, you said? No.
Oh no. We've already lost the plot.
Inside joke for those of you guys who've seen our Ponyo video.
Yeah.
But
People love it when you call out the inside jokes too.
yeah, do they? I don't know. Let us know in the comments, I guess.
So if you don't understand the joke is
I'm not gonna explain it. Watch the videos and figure it out. But Edgar Wright, he's actually done a lot of pretty good stuff, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Shaun of the Dead.
So good. We're gonna have to do that one for sure.
Yeah.
Didn't he also do the
Canadian one?
The
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is based off of a comic book, which a friend of mine in college, they introduced me to that.
There's another one that's like the end of the world or World's End. Yeah, the World's End.
Didn't he also do, was that Baby Driver? Was that him?
That was Baby Driver.
Baby Driver. Great movie.
Yeah.
Really good movie.
Hot Fuzz.
So he's done some comedy. So, he's got some comedic chops.
Yeah, one of my stepfather's favorite directors. Because he loves Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Loves Shaun of the Dead.
So this is one of those movies that, like, you've probably never heard of it. But you hear Edgar Wright and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I know that name.
Yeah.
That guy makes movies. So that's why I recommended that we watch this one. And you...
Don't like it.
He wasn't a fan. He wasn't a full-time movie fan of that movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll continue to be the contrarian that we need for this show.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I want to be the contrarian sometimes. I will in the next episode.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, because we'll definitely not agree.
No, but I don't know. I guess we want to do just first impressions, right?
Yeah.
So, what was your first impression? What do you think? Like, as you like, yeah. Just walk us through it.
Man, okay, so I love me some Edgar Wright. I love Scott Pilgrim's probably one of my like top comfort movies. It's just so silly, so goofy, and his style is so pointed. Same with Baby Driver. I love Baby Driver for that reason.
You know what? Can I say something about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World? It's like the first.
So, yeah, go ahead.
It's like the first comic book movie that feels like a comic, but in real life. Like, I don't think anybody is that. So, like, when you watch, like, Into the Spider-Verse, you're like, oh, they take a lot of comic book themes and stuff like that.
But Scott Pilgrim was like a live-action movie that felt like a comic book.
It felt like a one-to-one translation, but it didn't feel weird or it
was just there.
Right.
It was itself.
So good job, Edgar Wright, on that one. But we're not talking about that movie.
Edgar Wright generally does a good job when when he has a source material. And before I get like bashed about saying that, he does not do well. He does not do well with making his own things. That being said, I love Baby Driver. I love Baby Driver for what it is, and it's a fun time. And it's very fast. It's very pointed. It knows what it is. It's not like a great story.
Bell bottoms.
It's just fun, and I feel like that's what it is. The whole movie's a gimmick, and it's a fun gimmick.
Yeah.
Same with Last Night in Soho. The whole movie feels like a gimmick, but one that fell really, really flat. I appreciate Edgar Wright going out and like making things. And to be honest, if we didn't have the back history of all of the other Edgar Wright movies, this one wouldn't have been made.
You know what? There are a lot of other movie writers and directors that I would rather them not make movies over Edgar Wright. Like, I'd rather Edgar Wright make more movies over them. I would
rather Edgar Wright do what he does best and take somebody else's script or source material and make it a fun time.
Hear that, Edgar Wright? Come on to our podcast and defend yourself if you dare.
It's fine. I think that's where there's nothing wrong with branching out and trying to do better and trying to like go out of your comfort zone and do something. I know that it took him like 10 years to write Baby Driver. I don't know very much about his writing process for Last Night in Soho, but I don't think it took him 10 years. It doesn't get the same feel. And when it took him 10 years, it was still off. Because there's writing is its own entirely different beast from directing, from personal experience. And in writing, it has to be like a really solid base. And if you don't know how to get the really solid base, or you don't hit the nail really hard for the solid base, like the characters have to be believable, and the setting has to be very believable, and the story has to have a meaning and a moral, and it has to be very direct, and at the same time you have to make it approachable, and you don't make your audience feel stupid at the same time. I'm looking at you, Nolan.
Some of you might feel that way anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Some of you might feel that way anyways. And it's like you have to get these perfect mixes together so that you can pass it on to somebody else to be able to tell the story in a proper way. And when the director is the writer, there's some translation that might get lost and doesn't serve the story correctly. And I think that's kind of what's happened here, is that Edgar Wright said, hey, I want this story to do this thing, and because there wasn't a proper like check and balance to the system, this is all off of assumption, by the way, there's a piece, like a core piece of the story that's missing to make it feel whole. Yeah. That's just not there. Yeah. And because the checks and balance weren't there, then it was missed and the whole movie got made. And I mean, there's usually when you're around a bunch of people, you can kind of feel what's going on, but there's also like the movie making process is long and difficult, and there's people dropping in and out every day, and so there's only a few people who ever see the full story while it's being told. Very true. So that being said, Last Night in Soho's garbage. Don't watch it.
Okay,
it's not too bad.
So here's what I think, and we're gonna get into like the plot and the storyline here in a little bit, but maybe you'll agree with me. Maybe you'll continue to be contrary. But I thought that the story was good and interesting. It just needed a few tweaks. Like, there were some things that were introduced, which we're going to go over here in a minute, that like they just touch on it. They don't really explain everything, so you're just kind of partially aware of like what's going on with her. What's her name? Her actual
Eloise.
Eloise is her character name, and so there's some things that you're just kind of aware of. If you're not paying attention, you miss it, or if you were in the theater and you went to go get some popcorn, you would have missed it, and you might have been a little bit confused. You know what I'm saying? So he barely touched on it. I think maybe he could have made a bigger point to some of those things, like I'll just say it, like the fact that her mom, like they said she had schizophrenia, but it sounds like she could just see dead people,
like The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, spoiler
like
for The Sixth Sense.
Yeah. So
my bad.
So yeah, whoops.
But like The Sixth Sense.
That's what I was
yeah. But like The Sixth Sense. Yeah.
If you haven't seen that,
it's alluded to that her mom had schizophrenic problems and died because of them.
Yeah, that's one of those things where. So I guess in the movie, like, so in the real world, everybody would be like, you're a crazy person. In the movie world, she just had some unnatural abilities.
But she wasn't very open about it.
Yeah. So it just kind of touched on that Eloise kind of could see or had some issues seeing dead people, etc. So
yeah, well, it is listed
very
as
slightly.
a psychological supernatural horror.
Yeah.
And mystery thriller. Those are the labels.
I think you were mystified by a movie that should have been good that wasn't.
Look, dude, there are two genres that I want to get into to like make something with.
Yeah.
That are so difficult, and it's mystery thriller.
Yeah.
And noir.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was also in that same like trying to do that. And there's certain tropes that you have to hit in like a noir style or a mystery thriller style that make the genre what it is.
Yeah.
And this one just didn't want to do that.
well, let's talk about let's start getting into like the meat and potatoes, and hopefully they're not angry potatoes, but angry potatoes. Of the story, right?
Well, I want to make it very clear before we do that.
Yeah.
That my position on this movie is that if I were to give my approval or whatever, it's an okay movie. It doesn't really give you like a proper like complete feeling by the end of it. You still have questions and everything.
I would agree with that.
If I could give you a solid recommendation on whether or not you should watch the movie, probably don't. It's not like you're not missing anything.
Yeah.
I know people who walked out of the theater when they went to go and see it.
Oh, really?
Like 20 minutes in. Yeah, right there.
Oh.
Because they didn't like... It took too long to get to the point, and by the time that it got to the point changed, and then when the point changed, it was like, well, why bother?
Yeah.
That's my no spoiler review. Don't watch it. You're not missing anything.
I would say watch it and you know, kind of figure out, form your own opinion. I think it's worth at least one watch, in my opinion. There are very few movies that, maybe I would say a majority of the movies, I would probably say, you know what, maybe it's worth one watch. But there's a few, like, we already agreed, we've already seen this, we're going to bring it up a lot because we just hate this movie so much, but The Rise of Skywalker, never watch that if you don't have to. Don't even look at the direction. Don't Google it. Just watch our video on it and nothing else, because that's all you need.
I think if you do anything with The Rise of Skywalker, it should be to not watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
same with this.
I would say for this, I would rather watch this than The Rise of Skywalker.
I don't know. The Rise of Skywalker had a conclusive ending.
Yeah, but it was also the biggest letdown because Star Wars is such a much more beloved franchise. Last Night's Show was just a one-time nothing, so I don't feel as bad about it.
You heard it here first, folks. The man who recommends you to watch the movie said it's a one-time nothing.
Watch it once and see what you think about it. But I think it's an interesting concept, and I think we can talk about the things that... Because here's how I feel about it. is that there's a few tweaks that you can make to it to make it a good movie. It's not like in my opinion, it's not a complete rewrite. Like it's like a few more collab sessions of being a good movie. And there's a few things I would change in the beginning and a few things I would change in the end. In my opinion, that's what I would do.
Yeah, but when you're missing a core of a story, you're missing the core of it. You know what? Let me ask you this: what's the moral?
The moral of the story? Well, it's funny that you asked. I was planning on answering that later. When I have more time to think about it.
Even though I'm not a firm believer that every story needs to have a firm moral, the main character, has a journey that concludes them to something else that's changed them.
Yeah,
we can all agree.
Here's what I'll say: is that Eloise starts off as a very protected and like obviously, she's like in a very she's lived a very sheltered life out in the country, and she goes to the big city for the first time. So she's in her college years, going to college to go to the design school. She starts off very naive, and she learns very quickly how the real world is. And her grandmother kind of warns her about it, and she's getting lots of warnings. I think that her journey is one of just like it's one of like the world is a scary place, and just learning to have her head on a swivel, like to be able to like. It's funny. It's funny because it's like as she's learning, she's experiencing based off what she sees and what she's experiencing, but she's also in a state of like, can she really believe what she sees? Yeah. Because there's a lot of like, because she's experiencing a lot of, I don't know if you would call them visions. I mean, maybe dreams is where she's experiencing because she goes
to sleep. That is where,
that's
where
past,
most of it happens.
Of the past. And so she's actually learning not just from her own experiences, but the experiences of this person that she embodies when she sleeps. And her life and her experiences. And I mean, it kind of feels like men are scary. That's what the movie feels like.
There's nothing like a man writing a movie pandering to women about how men are scary.
Yeah.
We love that. Go off, Queen. Yeah. We got a thumbs down over there from our technical director.
Yeah. So, I mean, so yes.
There's actually full-time movie fans. It's a 3-person podcast. Nobody knows it.
You son of a gun. You're going to make me take back my words of recommending this.
This has been my plan the whole time.
I'm very much like
turning it against
for the most part, watch a movie and form your own decisions about it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem if someone says, should I watch it? I would say, yeah, go watch it, and then we could talk about it.
Well, I mean, you could say that about any movie. You can say that about The Rise of Skywalker.
I will never say that about The Rise of Skywalker. Don't you ever
go watch a movie, and you can watch it once so you can form your own opinion. Watch a movie once, form your own opinion. Skip this one, though.
No.
Watch a different, better movie. Hey, full-time MFers. You like this video? You sure did. If you liked it, maybe you should share it with your friends. Maybe like the video and subscribe.
If we were you, that's what we would do. If I was watching this,
I'd be all over that.
Like, and I'd hit that share, and then I would hit that subscribe in that order.
Yeah. There's also another video that's popped up. YouTube thinks you like this one, so you should watch that one now.
See you next time.